Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday, everyone. I have an honored guest today, someone that I met quite a while ago doing the research for Sierra Gold TV project. His name is Eric Elmore. He's a local gold miner, and he took me out on quite the adventure a few weeks ago. He's got multiple claims. How many claims do you have?
9 at the moment.
He's kind of a rock star, and he's done his homework. If you could you kind of walk us through the day that we had and, going out to Iowa Hill? Tell me a little bit about the history of that hydraulic situation.
Iowa Hill was founded in about 1852, and that was when they first started finding gold up there. The miners came up from the South Fork of the American River and then chased it all the way up to the North Fork and then all the way up the ridges about 2,000 feet up. They started hydraulicking in about 1858 once they discovered they could use all the water pressure, and they had hoses and material strong enough to encompass that pressure. And then once they did that, they went on to making about $100,000 a week in gold. In that time, it was about $20 an ounce, and if you brought it to today's dollar, it would be about $6.5 million a week.
When we pulled up on that claim, the ridge line comes up to this kind of really shallow T, I guess, for lack of a better description. But you're saying that they had to shut down the hydraulic to keep that ridge so you could get into Iowa Hill.
The city folks didn't want them to blow away the whole hill because that was part of their access into town. So they ended up having a shotgun battle on our claim from the townsfolk to the miners to stop the hydraulic mining, and that was about the same time that the Sawyer decision came out, and that's what really shut down the hydraulic mining.
Tell me this, because when we toured this, there was a tunnel that they had blasted. Mm-hmm. I mean, and what was that tunnel for?
The tunnel we walked through at the
end?
Yeah,
at the bottom there, isn't that like a natural sluice box?
It's the end of their sluice box. They blasted it out because they were using the bedrock to make a natural sluice instead of using wood sluice boxes going all the way up and down the mountain. So they had a big dam at the end, and once it would fill up with material, they would drain the water out of it and then dig out all the gold, platinum, and other precious metals and materials that were in there.
When was hydraulic mining banned?
Hydraulic mining was actually banned in 1884, but it kind of lived on briefly after that because a lot of the miners didn't want to give it up because they knew that was one of the best ways to get it, and they were still reluctant to all the environmental damage that was happening down in the Yuba River, the American River, and by the Sacramento River, because some areas were brought up in almost 20 foot in elevation from the soil that was blown down the mountain.
After they outlawed the hydraulic, then they shifted over to load mine going into the mountain?
A drift mine going into there, so they were still going after the ancient gravels, but since they couldn't wash the hillside, they can only go into the richest spots, so they would tunnel into the bench gravels, the rims of the deposit, and then also through the center of the channel and find the main pay streak and then follow that through. And that tunnel you saw actually leads into a big open stoped area, which is just like a big open space with a giant pond in the middle of it and then just surrounded by the ancient gravels.
That day we also headed over to Mosquito Ridge, which was a new place for me. What was the original name of that mine?
The actual original name of that mine was the Gabe D. Marie mine.
Okay, yep.
And it was really famous in the fact that it's one of the few places in the world you can get some of this amazing crystalline gold that will come in shapes other than just rounded nuggets. So sometimes you'll find it, it'll look like tree leaves, it'll look like octahedrons. It just has a bunch of different crystallized shapes instead of having that real rounded gold look that you'd expect to see from a river.
And that section over there, I think you called it the New Melones Fault?
The New Melones Fault is basically a system of faults that runs from about Mariposa, almost by Yosemite down south, and above Sierra County and Plumas area.
Doesn't it make a weird bend?
It makes a few bends in a few areas, and typically those bends where the really rich part of the gravels were, such as Carson Hill, down in the main Mother Lode area. Up here on our property, makes two 90-degree bends in a system of faults. So there's multiple places where the gold pocketed and was allowed to crystallize and had the time to form.
There's about 5, what do you call them, channels or mines going in?
That claim has about 12 tunnels, but about 5 main ones, and with the biggest one encompassing about just shy of half a mile in length and about 5 different levels.
And let me tell you people, this thing is amazing. I'm a little creeped out on tight spaces, but this one you can fully stand in. We went deep in there. We filmed for probably an hour inside, and he had brought amazing bright light to help the filming purposes out, and we found literally a couple ledges with candle wax that's got to be 150 years old. It blew my mind. It was my first experience going deep into a mine. I want to shift a little bit, and I want to talk about the culture of these miners. I found Eric through a Facebook group, and the community up here in Placer County, Dorado County, Nevada County is just really amazing, and you offered a free day to go out to one of his claims. He's got another claim. He's got many claims, but he has one on the middle fork of the American River.
That is correct.
So he had an invite to all the group, and you had, what, 30-ish?
30 plus people show up for the first time, so it was pretty good.
What was that channel? What were those tunnels up there?
At the top of the claim, they had a diversion dam, and then the Chinese blasted through the hill to make a giant diversion tunnel. So that way they were allowed the miners to work in that section of the river, then also provide the miners downriver some water that they could sell.
So they would literally move the river through this thing, and then they could work the actual riverbed?
All the water would get diverted through there in the summertime, and then they were able to work around those giant boulders. You saw some of those things were 100,000 pounds, the size of 2 or 3 cars.
It's amazing. And these tunnels, we're talking dynamite. We're talking solid rock, and these people are just plowing through this stuff. And this is 150 years ago. These hardworking Chinese immigrants probably also had worked the railroad as well. I think we're wrapping up here. I wanted to say thank you to Eric for coming down, and also shout out to Chris Baldwin, Barefoot Chris. He had gone up with us on that excursion up to the diversion tunnels. Please find Sierra Gold online. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm Wes Woodland, and we'll be back the first Saturday of next month.
Thank you for having us, Foothills.